Hey, Michael with XForcePC. Hey, Michael with XForcePC. I want to talk about our professional workstation computer based on an Intel processor. So, who this is for is someone who's using what we call professional software. And what that means is video editing, 3D rendering software, desktop publishing, maybe software that's doing filters on images. And these are all pieces of software that can take advantage of having lots of processing cores. If you're doing gaming, and you only do gaming, this is not the system for you. You'd be better off with a less expensive quad core that we sell, like the titanium, and it would actually be faster than this in gaming. Now, this is still a really great gaming computer. So if you plan to do all those aforementioned pieces of software, video editing, 3D rendering, and you want to game, absolutely you can do that. But there's no reason, if all you do is game, to buy this system, because most games only leverage 1 to 3 cores, maybe 4 at the most, but most games are fairly single-threaded. Now again, the aforementioned software, the video editing and all that, those are typically multi-threaded, and you can, if you're using a piece of software, just go look at the system requirements page and they'll have some recommendations on processors. And generally speaking, these pieces of software run better, faster on more cores, the more CPU or processing cores that you have. Now this system starts out with a processor that has 6 cores, 12 threads, and then we have an option for an 8-core with 16 threads. And again, the more cores, the more threads you have for the aforementioned software, the faster it will run. Now again, it doesn't work that way in games, but for video editing, photo editing, 3D rendering, all that type of stuff, in almost every case, the more cores, the more processors, CPUs that you have, the better. The difference between the two offerings on the Intel, again, one has 6 cores, one has 8 cores, one has 12 threads, one has 16 threads. So you just have to decide, is it worth the extra money to be 25 or 30% faster? And you just kind of have to work that out in your head, whether it's worth that or not. Now, talking specifically about the system, it comes equipped with 32 gigs of RAM. We do have an option, I believe, for 64, but it does support up to 64. It comes with a GTX 1070 graphics card. We will offer options for the 1080, the 1080 Ti once it comes out. Because some of the software, or a lot of the software, can leverage the graphics card for a lot of the work. And the graphics cards are actually, in a lot of ways, more complex than the processors that run the operating system, the CPU. So, if you, again, check the system requirements on the software you plan to run, but if it heavily leans on the graphics card, you may consider a 1080 or 1080 Ti. The 1070 with 8 gigs of VRAM that comes with this will do a terrific job at just about anything. We also have a 1 terabyte SSD that comes with the system, and we also add a 2 terabyte kind of storage drive. It's a conventional spinning hard drive, not very expensive, cheap storage, but not particularly fast storage. So we tend to call that cold storage. So that's where you would put your completed projects. You throw those over on the 2 terabyte hard drive when you're done with them, but you still have them in case that client comes back and says, oh, I need another version of what you did for me. Well, you'll have it over there on that 2 terabyte drive. And then you kind of free up your 1 terabyte SSD, which is the really, really fast storage. That will have your operating system, your programs, and any videos you're currently working on. So that's kind of nice to have the ability to have kind of hot and cold storage, so to speak. Now let's take a look at the physicals of this case. Of course, there's USB 2, USB 3. There's really great cooling in this case. We have 2 fans here in the front. which you may or may not be able to see. It's not currently on. These will light up, and there's a button in the back where you can turn that light off if you're not someone who's into that type of bling. And then, we have some USB 3 here on the front and a power, and then we have a fan speed switch here that you low, medium, and high on your fans. And moving over to the side, oh, this thing's a beast. I've already kind of got the case loose here. We have this very large fan here that blows directly onto the motherboard and right where the video card goes. So there's a constant flow of nice cool air coming into the side. This is one of the best cooling cases I've ever used before. And one of the big reasons is that large fan that just blows right down on everything. We got a 700 watt power supply. You see we have our water cooler here. These are the hoses for the water cooler. The GTX 1070 graphics card. The hard drive, the 2 terabyte hard drive would be in one of these bays. I actually don't have that in here at the moment. And then of course we've got 32 gigs of RAM. Now moving over to the top of the case, which is a little harder to kind of show you, but you kind of push down right here and the top just pops off nice and easy. And if I lean this far enough forward, you can see where the water cooler resides there in the top. So it basically sucks air from inside the case and blows it straight up through the radiator and then out of the case. So not only does it help cool the processor radiator, but it also helps cool the entire case. And it comes with some nice software for fan tuning so that you can decide how aggressive you want those fans to run. So I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah, that's the Intel i7 high-end workstation computer. Great for video editors and people working on professional type software. And can still be a good gamer.